May the words of my mouth, the meditation of all our hearts, be always acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. The gospel that we just heard is framed as a prayer competition. The odds-on favorite is a Pharisee who's a leader. He knows the Torah. He can recite the Psalms. He follows the rules. The one who is less likely to win is what the odds makers would call a tomato can, a loser, a tax collector. His only claim to fame is that he is a shill for the Roman Empire, extracting taxes from his people to pay for their own oppression. And the Pharisee is full of himself. He's righteous. He's proud. He says with great dignity, he thinks, that I fast twice a week and I give 10% of what I have. And he's grateful. He's grateful not for who he is, but for who he is not. I thank God I'm not like these other people, these rogues, these thieves, these adulterers, and this tax collector. Thank God I'm not like him. I've been that self-righteous. My guess is that all of us at some level, may not quite that demonstrative, but have been that self-righteous. About 25 years ago, after a 20-year struggle, I began praying every day. Every day. At least a half hour every day. And after 6 months, I was rather full of myself, and I worked my spiritual prowess into every conversation that I had. I said, do you know I pray every day? And I thought a couple things would happen, that people would be impressed with my discipline, and that wasn't the case at all. People began avoiding having conversations with me. And the second thing I thought would happen is I would reap all these rewards, that parking places would magically appear, that job offers would rain down, that all sorts of recognition would come my way. It didn't happen. What did happen was my desire to keep praying every day. Contrast that to the tax collector, who won't look up to heaven, who beats his breast and shouts out, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. He is broken open. He is at the depth of his vulnerability. We know that as well. Many of us have lived through moments in our lives of extreme loss, of a loved one, of a role, of our health, and we felt so broken we didn't know how life would go on, and communities like this one surround broken people with care and compassion to remind them that this brokenness is not all there is. This community was broken open on July 28th, this past summer, 6:20 in the afternoon, when 4 people literally across the street were shot and killed. This church was at the end of the day, but it went into lockdown, as did the whole neighborhood. And from what I've heard, it has shaken up the congregation, which is why I and my colleague and friend, Hope Christensen, are here today, because we work in the gun violence prevention space, and we're here to share what we've learned, how we can serve and help a congregation working through this. This happened here. Gun violence is part of the life, and it showed up just across the street. There are moments in my own life, early in the 13 years that I've been working in this field, when I come at the issue with the same kind of arrogance and self-righteousness as the Pharisee, thank God I'm not like a gun owner. And this changed when I went to a gun show about 8 years ago. I went to a gun show and saw all these antique guns, some of which were being sold for $25,000. And then there were all these accessories being sold. And there's all sorts of conversation going on, none of which I understood. Because they were talking a language that was unique to guns. And as I was overhearing these conversations, I began to realize that guns are a fundamental part of American culture. I might like that, we may not like that, but there it is. And the resistance to any kind of regulation in guns is not so much, well, it is part of, that guns will be taken away, but also that we'll erase this culture. It's not going to go away. And in that journey to a gun show, I came in and was confronted by my own smugness, self-righteousness, and arrogance, and have worked to try and mitigate that as much as possible. And then many of us feel that our country is being broken down, broken open, or just plain broken, that democracy is going away with all the deportations and the shutdown and the violence and the aggression on the high seas, and the list goes on and on and on. And then I talk to people who have a very different view, who think that democracy has been under threat for a long time. And what we're experiencing now is a restoring of order. And we have these two polarizing attitudes. And it seems like never the twain shall meet. How do we bridge this difference? How can we stand down from our arrogance and self-righteousness on either side? There's a tendency then to want to make it all go away, or to fix it, or to say, we're going to move on, put it behind me. And Jesus says no. Jesus says no. Sometimes we're put into a humiliating position because life throws us there. But he also says something else. He says, anyone who exalts themselves will be humbled, and anyone who humbles themselves will be exalted. These are one of several what I call koans from Jesus. It's a Japanese word, K-O-A-N, referring to paradoxes that don't make sense. This is one. Anyone who humbles himself will be exalted. Anyone who exalts himself will be humbled. The last shall be first. The first shall be last. Anyone who wants to save their life will lose it. Anyone who loses their life for my sake will find it. And the challenge is to engage in this humility. And Jesus says it's something that we need to choose. Sometimes we're thrown into situations when we're humble and vulnerable. But he's saying we need to choose it. And there are many ways to do it, but I want to focus on two. The first is about giving. Giving. We're in stewardship season. Perhaps you knew that here. And in my early ordained life, whenever stewardship came in, the first feeling I had was resentment. Resentment. I had made a commitment to serve God and the church, which meant for me leaving no end of income on the table. And now they're asking me to give my money to which little I had. So I was resentful of that. And so I gave what little I could afford, which wasn't much. And I put it behind me and moved on. In one of the early churches that I served as an associate, the theme was about proportionate giving, to figure out how much you gave and versus how much you earned. And so I grumbled and did that exercise and discovered I gave away less than 1%, much less than 1%. And the challenge was to increase that percentage. And after rending clothes and gnashing of teeth, I started to do that over several years. And the odd thing happened. Another koan hit me. The more I gave away, the more I ended up with. I can't draw an algorithm of that, but it opened my life, that it enabled me to fully understand that phrase in Joel, the first lesson today. Those who live in a desolate valley will find it a place of springs. Was introduced to a new level of abundance by giving more and discovering that stewardship is not so much about the church's need or our college's need or our charity's need to receive. It's about our need to give. And the more humility we engage in, the more wealth we end up and the more health we have. It's a spiritual discipline. It's a spiritual discipline. The second path to humility is one that you've all taken already this morning by being here, by attending this Eucharist service. The bones of the liturgy are 2,000 years old. It's been revised many times over the centuries, but the basic framework is still there. And for me, and I submit perhaps to all of us, the culmination of the liturgy happens when the priest takes the bread and breaks it, which symbolizes Jesus' broken life. And at that moment, it symbolizes our brokenness as well. Our anger, disappointment, fear, all the rest, it is broken. And then this extraordinary exchange takes place. Extraordinary exchange takes place. We're invited to come forward, bringing all our brokenness. And then, whether aware of it or not, we leave it at the altar and take back a little piece of bread and a very sweet sip of wine, which is Jesus' life. Jesus' life. How long does that new life last? A few hours, maybe a few days. My experience, never more than a week. So we come back the next week, and week after week, year after year, receiving this gift of new life in this exchange of death to life, of our brokenness to wholeness. I don't know how it works, but I stake my life on it, that we are fed. And when we humble ourselves, we are fed even more. This is something that we're asked to do, and there's been a parade of people over 2,000 years who come to engage in this exchange. And my guess is that none of us would not be here if not at some level we believe that exchange takes place. Again, I don't know how to explain it, but I built my life around it. The more we humble ourselves, the more we can claim our vulnerability, the deeper the gift of new life comes to us. The spiritual life is not a competition. It's not about winners or losers. Receiving the Eucharist mitigates this temptation that every culture and every time in history has had, that there are some people who are above somebody else, like the Pharisee and the tax collector. That's happened in every moment of history. The Eucharist levels that, because we're able to say we're all broken. We're all broken. And we also have the opportunity to receive new life. It's not a competition. It's a journey. It's a journey into humility, into vulnerability, to a level of hope, freedom, and peace, and exaltation that's more than we can ever ask for or imagine. May it be so. Amen.